you had your eyes open. You felt something was coming, but you still got bent over.
Yeah, and so this one is not only my story, but it's a lot of veteran stories. It's a lot of other veteran stories and how to deal with toxic leadership. It could be toxic relationships too. It could be the same thing, but it's toxic situations that you're in. I knew a lot of other veterans that came forward, so all I had to do was get their stories. It's my story combined with their stories, and without reading this book, is get the hell out of Dodge. That's what I'm saying. So if you're in that situation, get the hell out any way you can. But don't, I mean, really, there's other ways you can deal with it. But it'll give you an understanding of other ideas that you could possibly do. But yeah. So I have a lot of other veterans that have come forward and showed their stories, and with my story, kind of showing that you're not alone. And here are other techniques, other things that have happened with other people.
Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast. I am your host, Gary Scott, and today my guest is Lieutenant Colonel Jason G. Pike. Hello, Jason.
Hello, how's it going?
Living the dream, sir. I am living the dream.
That's my soldiers told me. Living the dream. That would tell me, "Hey, how you doing, sir, in Afghanistan?" And I was like, "I'm just living the dream." And
Right?
that
That's
was in
it.
Afghanistan. Yeah.
Covered in some feces in South Korea, just living the dream, brother. Real quick, I'm just going to do a real quick intro. People have a basic idea of what we're talking about here. So, about Jason Pike, the Army investigated him, arrested him, and tried to break him. But Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike is undoubtedly a soldier against all odds. A decorated combat veteran with multiple deployments, Pike has become a national best-selling author, sharing his journey in three powerful books. And there's all sorts of stuff to go into about that, about the books, about your story, or whatever the heck you want to talk about. But like I mentioned before we get too deep into this, I promise I'll shut up. Is With the What If You Could podcast. So I ask all my guests one question at the gate. Mr. Jason Pike, what is your what if you could?
I look at that as a regret. In other words, one of the biggest regrets I had was getting too scared to go to Ranger School. I had a slot in Ranger School. I had worked for Ranger School. They gave me the slot of Ranger School. And what if I And even if I failed, I believe I'd be better off. I mean, and I regret it that I didn't take the opportunity to even try. Sometimes it's better to try and fail than to be so scared of failing that you never try. And I didn't try. I tried out. I got the slot, but I just got scared. The food deprivation, the sleep deprivation, I said, man, I don't, and that would be what if I could. What if, I'd be another story. I could at least, even if I failed at the Ranger School, at least I'd have a story.
I don't know, man. You look pretty badass. You can go back and do it.
And I was 27 at the time, and I was even badder back then. But I don't know. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
My son did the Ranger training. And you're right. I think he said 100 people started and five finished, six finished. It's not a cakewalk, man. It's not a lot of fun. However, I mean, talk about abuse to the body and abuse to the soul and different things that you've abused. You can't have too many regrets. I mean, you
Oh,
put yourself there in 31 years, right? I mean, you've been there and back in 31 years with being in the military.
yeah. So there's not a whole lot of regrets. I have gone from the bottom as enlisted and went up to through the ranks as an officer. That was back when enlisted wasn't, you stayed enlisted. I went back in 1982, 83, and then got out in 2014. So I've went through all the gates, and for the most part, yes, I don't have regrets. I tried it, and even if I failed it, and most of the time I would succeed, but there were some failures along the way. But usually with those failures, um, you come back better anyway, and so that's just the way life is. And so that's kind of, so I don't have a whole lot of regrets. I appreciated the time. There's no way I would change it. There's just the way things worked out, and I'm happy about it. Really, I'm happy about it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you one of those dudes who always wanted to serve? Like my son always wanted to serve, right? He was just one of those guys who always wanted to serve. Then a lot of guys are like, well, shit, got out of high school. I don't know, man. I don't know what I wanna do. Definitely can't go to college, so I'll go into the service. Or were you one of those guys who just like, I wanna go serve"?
No, not really. My mother and father didn't, that was the only it was the few only options that I had at the time. As I came along, you ever seen one of those people like, how in the hell did this person get to be that high? If you've how did a dumbass like that person go this way? I was kind of sort of like that. I had failed first grade. I didn't do good in high school, and I was 5'8". I did have blonde hair and blue eyes, and that's about the only thing that was going.
Chicks dig that, man. Chicks dig that.
But, uh but other than that, the scores, I even had some physical problems. Physical, I had, osteomyelitis. I had a bone disease, which I lied about to the military that I don't have any problems, but yeah, I felt that there was only I felt that that was probably the only way I could get in some big organization, and, the army or whatever it might be, they'd take anybody lame, lazy, or crazy, as long as you're not lame, lazy, or crazy, as long as you could sort of, I the question I have, I've always thought, how in the hell did I pass that entrance exam? You have to have an entrance exam. I don't know how I did that. I know I lied to the military about my medical, but as far as the entrance exam, I think they just needed some numbers and just slid me through. That's just looking back, and I even wanna go back to find that score, but, that was back in the '80s, so.
Well, I like to tell people I failed to the all the way to the top. I don't know shit from Shinola. And that's why I've been a real estate broker for 35 years. I think, how bad could I screw that up, right? I think I could figure that out. But regardless, I mean, when you got in, you obviously took it very seriously once you got in, or you just said, "Screw it, just give me all the hard shit."
Not really, I just walked in, I just felt that, I'm just gonna do the best I can. That's what my feeling was. And to go back to that previous conversation we had about me having problems academically, I was not able to drink the damn water that was coming out of the fire hose so fast. There's a lot of cultural acronyms, all different types of systems, and the military and the regulation, and that was just like overwhelming me. And they wanted to kick me out of the military at the age of 17. I had joined in high school, so well, I had joined early, and they identified me as one of the less than best privates because I wasn't able to get it. And they sent me to a criminal correctional facility. It's a military brig. This story doesn't exist. It's in my book, but it was a motivational, kind of a drug straight type of a program, possibly illegal compared to standards of this day, where they just go and just beat the shit out of you and try to process you out so you can quit. They wanted you to quit because they didn't want to spend much time on you. And I was one of those. I was not a criminal, but I was in the brig at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, 1983, and I'd only been in the basic training for 3 weeks. The basic training. This is just basic training, and It went through a hell on wheels type of a scared straight program. Came out of there all just traumatized, and I thought I was being processed out of the military, but, apparently they're just trying to beat the hell out of you to try to see if you can quit. So, I just went ahead and kept on going, and I did pass basic training, and, once I passed basic training, I'm like, "Damn, I can't explain what the hell I just went through," and I didn't tell anybody for years. But I said, "There's something there." I'm only 18-year-old. There's something there that, I think I could do more than I think, I think I can do more than other people think, but I don't know what it is because I just went through that hell. I ain't gonna tell anybody about what the hell happened over there. And so I was just sort of like, at that time, trying to process it, and I'm thinking, "I think I got something in me more than, a lot of people think." Yeah, yeah.
It sure as heck reminds me of the scene out of Officer and a Gentleman when, Louis Gossett Jr. is beating the shit out of Mayo, and he goes, "I got nowhere else to go."
Yeah, you get pushed down to a point. You get that, yeah, you're at a bottom. It's at a bottom.
It's
So where
like
to
it's like
go?
Git it's like Gitmo for kids. It's just a fun It's a fun place for kids to go. That's a crazy story, but, I mean, many times what they do is they break you so they could build you back up, right?
Yeah, I think there's a song about that, "Break you to build you back up," break you down. Yeah, so yeah.
It's gotta be country western. It's gotta be a country can't be rap. It's gotta be a country western tune.
Yeah, that's pretty much they strip you down, I mean, they strip your hair out, they strip all your everything you got, and they make and, they're gonna find a weakness in you, they're trying to strip you down to see what the weakness is, and apparently my weaknesses were exposed very early on, and the drill sergeants are trained to pick up on the weaknesses, that's what they do, and mine were out there, and I was only 2 out of think about this, I was 2 out of 50 people identified to go to that facility, and the other guy broke and I stayed. So I do believe I was considered like I was not fat, I was not overweight, but I just couldn't mentally get all the jargon and things. And so they knew that I was struggling deep inside.
When you look at the other branches, it's like my son was gonna go in the Navy, and a really smart Air Force recruiter said, "Dude, you don't wanna be on a ship for 6 months out in the middle of the ocean away from all the girls. You gotta go into the Air Force because chicks dig pilots, man. You gotta go in the Air Force." So he got in the Air Force and said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Dad, I should have gone to the Marines. These guys are a bunch of wussies." So, did you say, "I wanna go to the Army," or did is that just the first one you bumped in and go, "Ah, screw it, I guess I'll go to the Army."
In the beginning, I felt that I wanted to go to the Marines because I felt that that was at the bottom, and I felt that I was at the bottom. So, writing crayons.
Don't tell that to a Marine, by the way, I'll kick your ass.
So I felt that I would be a Marine material because I'm intellectually not that well off, and but that didn't exist at the time. What I'm saying is it wasn't. There was no Marine reserves, and I said, "Well, I'll just go Army." Hindsight 2020, I would have gone Air Force because they get treated very well. Sometimes they call the Air Force the chair force because they have offices and they have nice. They have air conditioning and there's a whole lot of facility. I mean, you got an airplane versus somebody who's walking with a pack on their back. You got you're just supporting an airplane versus someone who's on the ground. The big difference in culture and lots of privileges more and at the Air Force. And you go to an Air Force base for a vacation. Just like, wow, there's green grass. There's green. There's just even the women are prettier. Everything is better. The food is better. Everything's better. I was like, uh, I would always advise somebody to do well on your test and go to the Air Force.
Well, that's what my son did. That's what the guy told him. He said that's the same freaking line they gave my kid, and that's why he's in the Air Force. But I mean, it wasn't long before you realized, "Hey, this shit's real." Right? I mean, after you got your ass kicked and they couldn't get rid of you, you're too stupid to quit. So, sorry.
Mhm.
No offense, Lieutenant Colonel. I mean, at what point did you go, "Wow, this stuff real. I'm kinda not this is real stuff now."
Right after I came back from that facility, right when I came back from the criminal correctional facility and got another chance. It's not, I didn't quit and I went through it and everybody was like, "Wow." I mean, my uniforms, I was bloody, uniforms were torn up, I had been through total hell. Everybody felt sorry for me, and I just kept on, and I graduated, and that once I graduated the basic training and the advanced individual training of the field artillery, I came back to high school. I was a reservist. I came back to high school. Yeah, and I did this in high school because, I failed the 1st grade, and so I was a year older than everybody. But I didn't tell anybody. That's another thing I didn't tell anybody about. But I was a year older than everybody, and, I came back in the '80s with a skinhead, and, I just told him that I'd been through the, National Guard, or well, the Army basic training. But, that right there is like everybody looked at a total change. I like I became more serious with my studies, became more serious with the military and what I can do. And I was thinking, processing, what can I do beyond this? What can I do beyond this? I've already fucked up my chances to go to the college, I thought I'd screwed it all up. SAT scores were nothing. How do I get into college? So how did I get into the army? Well, so I was like going through these problem solving things like how do I do it? I didn't have a mentor to guide me. Nobody was, and so I just figured, oh, okay, well, I had to go to a junior college. That's a my daughter calls it the dummy college. Go to somewhere where they'll take anybody. And I went there and I said, okay, it's a secondary high school. Then build up from there. And then, okay, then go to another university and get. So I just started at the bottom, just just stayed into college and the reserve and kept volunteering for more and more army training, in military training while I was in the National Guard. And then eventually I went through ROTC and then I got my commission and went in as an officer. And not only did I get the college degree, but I got a commission, I got a second lieutenant commission, and, I mean, from where I was from, it's like, how the hell did somebody do that? And that's always the question. How the hell did you even my dad who knew me the most, and he was the most street smart, he was scratching his head, "Son, how the hell did you do?" And so that was like, and my friends and I could see the reaction with other people, but but I just said, "Man, I got a book." I had a book when I was 25, but I had a book. I said, "There's a book. When am I?" So I said, "There's a book out there. I can do a book on this thing." And I says, "Well, I'll just wait and wait." And so I waited until I retired until I got my book, "A Soldier Against All Odds." Yeah.
But wait a minute. Hold on a second. You're you're Mr. Not the brightest bulb in the world, but you're already thinking about writing a book at 25 years old
Yeah, because when
about
you look at
your military service?
just about doing what I did up to age 25, which was to get a college degree, which was to become a commission in the military, just to become the basic level of an officer in the military. Where I was thinking there is something here at the I didn't write a book, but I was thinking, damn, because everybody was asking me then, it was like, how the hell did you do it? I'm like, damn, I don't know. I don't know. There's something here. There's a book. I thought there was a book. I thought there was something, but I never did. Of course, I never did even write a book until long after retirement. But I was thinking that because everybody was asking me, how the hell did you do this? Yeah.
No kidding, and then you ended up with 3 books. I mean, but
Yeah.
so the book that you're talking about, your first book,
Yeah.
is the there it is, A
That's the first.
Soldier Against All Odds.
That's
Why'd you pick that title? Yeah, that's a handsome young gentleman.
I
Why'd
felt
you
that I
pick
was
that
against
title?
I felt that I was against all odds. Man, in the beginning, what we thought, we don't need any Einsteins in the army. That's what I was thinking in the beginning. We don't need any Einsteins in the army, meaning about the educational thing. But then after we went through the process, and well, it was not just education, it was a lot of things. So we'll just say it's against all odds. That was just a soldier against all odds because it was me getting in trouble and getting out of trouble. It was investigations. It was, the criminal correctional facility. It was education, but it was more than just education. I was sort of a black sheep of the army in many ways because I was kind of rogue. I was a rogue character from my background and from where I came from. And I felt that I was against the grain, against the odds, and I was not in the cliques. And that's just sort of, I felt that I was against the odds. And it was like kind of a bull in a china shop that just kind of keeps going forward. Yeah.
And see, that's kind of so rare that someone with your personality type rises up as high as you did because they just like people who go along to get along or get along to go along or whatever the saying is, right? And then you naturally get, like my son says, a lot of these guys just want to stay quiet and shut up so they can keep moving up and just not cause any trouble. And my son's like you. He's the exact opposite. He's a bull trying to shop. Someone says something and he goes, well, that's not the regulation. And they look at him like, "The hell are you? Wait a minute, boy. You can't talk to me like that." But so you kind of that was against the odds. You aren't supposed to do that stuff in the service.
Yeah. I, I knew to stay quiet. and I did for a lot. I did stay quiet, and I think staying quiet. I mean, I thought, you could write a book. Don't say a damn word and get promoted. In other words, don't say shit and you'll get promoted. Yeah, and I know to keep your mouth shut. I do know that. I learned that. But a lot of my actions were, wrathful. I had a lot of rascals in me, and I like to play games and things and get away, see what I can get away with. And, but the rules and the regulations. To me, that's we can accomplish a mission without rules and regulations. We can work things around. We can work around things. And so my creative things. So I didn't have great rules and but I had a creativity of how to get around things and how to, so that was, I had a rascalness in me. I would say, you would say, and I knew, like, a lot of times I did bite my tongue, but I knew that I wasn't going to do what they're telling me to do, and I'm going to do something different. And so I would be in meetings and I'd just go like this. But yeah, that was kind of my persona, so that was my persona in many ways.
You're 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 like my wife. She gets so many speeding tickets. She goes, "Well, the speed limit is just a suggestion. It you know what I'm saying? Like, the lines are just suggestions. You go wherever you want. You go as fast as you want." But, I mean, but still, you kept going up. I mean, you had a shitload of deployments. They were sending you there. They obviously you don't get to a lieutenant colonel, I'd imagine, unless you're doing something right.
Yeah, and I was volunteering for all the schools I could possibly go for, and I was volunteering for all the deployments that I could possibly go for. So yes, on that scale of education, military education, and the schooling, I was like volunteering. I wanted more and more of it. And then I wanted the deployments back when we didn't before 9/11 we didn't deploy. So I was going to El Salvador, I was going to Korea. I was doing things according to the military that were considered good. And that's why I wanted to be overseas because you can get away with a lot of things overseas. So, and so I just wanted to get over. So I wanted to go to these exotic places and to do these things, and I wanted to serve and stay in the military at the same. Knocking two or three birds out with one stone is my thoughts. Have some fun, also do a deployment, and also go to schools and travel. So I was looking at all of that, and I was looking at really making a career out of it. Really, once I became a officer.
Yeah. But, I mean, you still got in the shit. It's not like you were going around just partying like a rock star. I mean, you still got in the shit every once in a while, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, sure did, no doubt about that. One of the big ones was, I'm here in Texas, and so I retired in Texas and, San Antonio, Texas, and I was a captain at the time, and driving under the influence of alcohol back then was a big, big no-no. That was something they'll throw your ass out in a heartbeat, and I did. I got caught DUI, which right now, I mean, it was back then, it was 0, like drugs. Drugs is like 0. There's no, you're out. DUI back then, even 1995, you're out. And I did that, and I got caught, and I was scheduled to be thrown out of the military with a Gomar as a captain. I was a captain. I had over, I had many years because I was enlisted, and now I'm a captain. And they gave a Gomar is a general officer memorandum of reprimand. It's a sheet of paper from a general saying you're a piece of shit, and it goes into your file. And, yeah, "Oh, man, I'm done." I felt that I was done. I was gonna give up, and, someone pulled me aside, says, "There's maybe a chance that you could appeal it, and, it might take a while, and you'll have to go through a lot of hell, bureaucratic hell, and you might win, you may not, but the odds were none. No, not with this." So I said, "Well, hell, I'll give it a try." So I did the appeal process. And so I had to go through lengthy bureaucratic processes to get this thing not only expunged out of the record of the civilian record, but I had to fight the military and the civilian court systems bureaucratically while I was going through deployments, and many paperwork, many proceedings, many hearings coming in and out of the courtroom, and over a period of 2 years. And but it finally was adjudicated, and I was finally given redemption by the army. I was still a piece of shit according to my peers because I did a DUI. But everybody thought, again, here, the Pikester's gone. The Pike is out of here. Just like me. And it's like, no, I'm back. It's like, I'm back. And so we're like, I did. And again, you, what I went through is like, it was hell and I learned a lot. But it's like, how can I explain it? I don't want to explain it. Well, I got a file over here about 2 inches thick. I could probably explain it. I keep my file because it's like a trophy to me. It's a bad boy trophy because what the hell I went through to get through this shit is amazing. And I learned a lot and back on it. But now I came back. I'm back now. The Pikester's back. Oh shit. How was he back?
Pike is back, bitches. Pike is back, bitches. So deal with it.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. But then you hit bottom and you come, and if you keep going, you come back, and then you might, it's like it was one of those roller coasters.
Yeah. A friend of mine was a judge on the Veterans Court out here in California. And it's kind of what he dealt with is guys who kind of had a boo-boo in the service and got their ass kicked in the service, told him it was a piece of shit. Well, they came to his court and he said, well, I'll tell you what, I've got a different idea about these guys. And so when he went to the Veterans Court, you kind of got a different look at this. And they took the encompass the whole thing because people make mistakes, right? And yeah, he saved a lot of guys. He saved a lot of careers by having that veteran court. Mark's a great guy. Matter of fact, he wrote that book behind me called Scars and Stripes about his time in the service. But so you ended up you go, I'm a guy who people don't think I got much going on in the head. You had a rough go as a kid. You had some illnesses and stuff. You get in the service, you get your ass kicked, you go to Gitmo for kids, you get out somehow, you do an officer and a gentleman scene, I got nowhere else to go, and then you do end up writing that book. I mean, shit, that's a Cinderella story.
Yeah, soldier against all odds. Yeah, and so when I knew I had something, I just didn't know what it was. This book damn near killed me. Once you see your life put out and what you've done, and it's on black and white, it's an expunging process. And it was like, oh, and I went to the hospital 5 years ago today here in San Antonio because this book just put me on my ass. It really did. I've got the picture. So, and I was scheduled to die at the Stone Oak Methodist Hospital here in San Antonio, Texas, down there off of 1604. And they said, yeah, this is not good. Well, I did end of life procedures as far as obituary. I'm on life. I'm on life support. I'm in the ICU. Yeah, I need do the biography. Let's do the. And I was in the process of this book when I was dying, and I have a ghostwriter, and I told the ghostwriter, "Hey, man, you need to follow through with the mission. I'm dead. I'm going to dead. I'm going to Fort Sam Cemetery. Follow through with the mission." He's like, "You're not going to die," but I've got this in the book as the testimony of it damn near killing me because I was sitting on my ass and I was stressing and I was just going through all kinds of flashbacks. I got blood clots that went into my lungs and legs, and I just
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. What were you dying from? What were you dying
blood
of?
clots. I had blood clots. I had
But from the stress of writing the book?
and sitting down and typing so long. Sitting down?
Ah.
Yeah, sitting down, is like the new cancer. I wasn't moving like I should, and, I was not moving. I was, like, just sitting and stressing and for hours and hours, more than I should have been. I wasn't getting up, walking around. I was settled down. I mean, I've always exercised, but this was a period of time where I just sat and and then blood clots had formed into the lungs and the legs. And I feel that they were there for a while because I had trouble breathing, and that was for a while. I didn't go to the doctor because we had the biggest snowstorm in history, and the roads were all closed, and it was the mega snowstorm of 2021, and it was here in Texas, and everything was shut down. And after the snowstorm, I just walked in to the Stone Oak Medical Hospital. I put my finger into that pulsometer at the emergency room, and the entire everybody, all hell broke loose in the emergency room. I became priority number one placement. I was wheeled in. Everybody just took care of me. I don't know what was the numbers. I don't know the numbers on that pulsometer, but I walked in, put it in there, and everything changed within. I had tests done within 10 minutes. I was in the ICU in 30 minutes, and I knew everything was focused on me and my survival. But I walked in, and I was not breathing well. I just knew, and I hadn't been breathing well for a while. And matter of fact, I just told my wife, I says, I'm just going to go get myself checked out. I don't think anything's wrong. If they say everything's good, I'm going to the gym because I just wasn't feeling, I just wasn't feeling I was breathing too well. But everything changed. They did the scanning, MRIs, and all that in the body, and I was ICU, and I was priority number one placement. Yeah. The only, I had the only thing uh, really that probably helped me in the long run, I'd always worked out. I'd always had big veins from working out and being, extremely physically fit. And that was the only thing I'm thinking that may have helped me survive that because I felt that I probably had those blood clots in me for more than a week. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, sir. I have not known you long, but you sure as shit don't sit still much. I can't even see you sitting still so much that you've got to get that. But but typical of Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike is I almost die writing a book, and so I'm gonna write 2 more books.
This time, yeah, I changed my thing. Yeah, well, I changed my technique on it. I don't. I get up and I now. So I'm sitting down now. Right now, I'm sitting down. Normally, I have a stand-up desk that I'm not at. But I don't sit down much, and I keep moving around, doing what I've always done. But at that particular point, for about 3 to 4 weeks, I was sitting down more than I have ever done in my life, and that was out of character and it was unusual. And that's what did it. Yeah.
Well, you had, they say sitting down is worse than smoking cigarettes. People, I have a stand-up desk too. I'm at my stand-up desk now. I'm sitting at it, but I have a stand-up desk that I work at. But yeah, sitting is worse than smoking cigarettes for one. But stress. You talked about stress, but shit, you had so much stress in the service. You would think your body was a little more adapted to stress than most. I mean, but stress will kill you faster than anything.
Yeah, and I was going through the flashbacks. I was going through the post-traumatic stress. I was crying with the book. I was laughing with the book. I was just various emotions, just like a grief, just like an expunge of things that you've done and seen. I was going through this exhuming, a coming out process within my own self that I've never experienced it until then, and, it happened for a while. Am I good enough to do this? Am I good enough to put a book out? I'm nobody. I'm nobody, and I was just thinking of these negative things, and I thinking, my dad is better with a book, and I'm not as look and I would go to the library and compare myself to other people. Look at these other biographies. Man, I'm nothing. How am I can I'm nothing, and, so, like, how can I not me. I can't do this. I'm not. So I was going through all these just self-negative and all these different emotions that were going on. While I was doing it was in January to February of 2001. And that went on, but it went on. He's like, how can I do this? No, what are they gonna think of me? What if they're gonna think bad or I'm gonna offend all these little things. Yeah.
Now, you did you get because of the service, you had health issues when you were young, when you were a child, but obviously you get your ass kicked through the service, 31 years and all the missions and stuff like that. So the second book, Out of the Uniform, Back into Civilian Life, No Nonsense for Veterans Benefits Guide. So you must have gone through the shit where you were sick or something was going on that you realized, man, I these guys are frickin' I need to help some people out. So is that where that one came from?
So this one came from no. Okay, I was retiring out of Germany, and no one would help me. Nobody would help me with the Veterans Administration process. Going through the VA. doing the paperwork. I was a lieutenant colonel. I knew the system. I knew people, but it was just, I don't know. It was in that particular area. There was no help to get me the benefits. I don't want to go through my medical records. And I didn't really, I had bumps and bangs and things and strains. I knew there was a good paycheck behind it. I don't want to miss my paycheck. I want money. And so, so what I did, I said, fuck it. I'm going to do it myself. I don't recommend you doing this. So I went through the regulation. I pulled up, I got all my regular medical records, and I got them all together, and I compared them to the regulation CFR 38. Damn. And I started typing out this damn crap out, and I typed it all out. I got my stuff together, and I did it myself, and I learned a whole lot while I was doing it. And I don't recommend you doing it, but I but and I learned a lot, and I put my paperwork in there, and I came out pretty good, really good. And I learned a whole lot. I learned about how the system works. I learned about how this veterans and transition things and how the terminology, it's not, it's not high blood pressure, it's called hypertension. And, it's all these different things. And I just learned how to put the paperwork together. I said, well, I'll write a book on the VA, on the Veterans Administration, and how to get your benefits. But without reading the book, go to a veteran service officer, but I couldn't find one. And I knew I needed to go to a VSO. Well, they didn't want to help me. The VSOs over there didn't want to help me. VA was been fired, and I was like, well, I got to do it myself. Like, I'm a lieutenant colonel. I'm lazy. I'm an officer. I just delegate shit down. I don't have to do shit, but I did this. And because there's money behind it. It's like, oh, so I went ahead and I did pretty well. And I decided to write a book about it. Yeah.
I love it, man. See, that's the thing about rising up. You want to get to the point where you don't have to do shit anymore, right? You got people. I want
Yeah.
to have people. That's where I want to get.
And like
I want to get this
power.
I want to get like Joe Rogan, where I got people. I could say, "Hey, pull that up, Jimmy," or whatever that dude's name is on Joe Rogan. But I'll tell you what, that is, in all seriousness, because we're having fun with it. But that's an important freaking piece of paperwork right there, because that book, like I said, my son is in the service. He has a lot of friends in the service. He's had a lot of friends who've been damaged in the service, and they do not make it easy for you to figure this shit out. I mean, they do not. And it's not like, when they're spending $1 trillion a year, it's not like there's not enough money to take care of these guys and gals, right?
Yeah, it's a piece of work. I think it's gotten worse in the past year, in my opinion. But the VA, I've got two medical cares. I got TRICARE and I got VA. TRICARE, I'll take, but the VA is just so damn slow and so damn cumbersome. But that's nothing new. We've always known that. But I think it's gotten even worse. And so, I've been trying to. I have my shoulder. I don't know what it is. I did something with my shoulder. Man, it's been 3, 4 weeks. But the thing is I don't need the VA. I got TRICARE, but I want VA to know about it, because 1 + 1 = 2, and sometimes things kind of go forward in ways that you don't understand. So I like to keep the VA informed. TRICARE will take care of me really hard, but I try to keep the VA updated. But it's difficult because they're just so slow with everything, and
What
it's
what's the difference between what's
yeah.
the difference between Tricor and the VA? What's the difference between Tricor and the VA?
TRICARE is when you've done your 20 years, or if you're medically retired. TRICARE is healthcare, military healthcare, and that's good shit. That's really good stuff. That's when you either got medically thrown out of the military, or you've done your 20 years. Well, there may be some other thing, but that's different than VA. VA is, you could have done 4 years and got injured, got your knee injured, back injured. Now you're in the VA. VA is Veterans Administration. And so VA is more of the ghetto service. That's the ghetto medical. And then the TRICARE is more of the higher. It's much better. But VA is just more of a cumbersome organization to work with. And it's always been that way. And I don't think it's going to change much. I think it's so. But yeah, it's a nightmare. I'm a priority 1 patient. I'm combat veteran, got my injuries and things, and I'm at a high percent. I'm 100%, and I'm priority 1. but they're still really, really slow for me. So if anybody is who's less than 50% or anybody who's they're gonna be like, they're probably gonna be having a more harder time to get healthcare. You know what? The thing about with the Veterans Administration is a lot of things you can work around these things by going to community care. And so instead of going to the VA, request community care. Don't call them on the phone and waste an hour of your time waiting. I would just email the shit out of them like a machine gun. Shoot the shit out of them with the emails. And if they don't like you, they'll just send you to another doctor. So somebody who will help you out. But see, because once you email them, don't call because when you call them, it doesn't get on the record. Just shoot the hell out of them, and then after a while, they have to respond because you're the patient and it's on record. These emails get on the record, and so you can work it that way and ask for community care. Community care is a way to go off the VA into civilian healthcare, and that's what it's basically contracted out through the VA to outside care, and work it that way. And there's different angles and different procedures to skin a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why that book is so important. So, out of the uniform, back into civilian life, no nonsense veterans benefits guide because it really is. I mean, shit, you're better off going to frickin' Canada if you're a veteran and praying for socialized medicine in Canada, getting into the VA a lot of times. I've heard nightmares about it. It's
Mm.
crazy. It
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
But
It's
regular medicine's pretty sucked too. I mean, regular medicine's going to shit too. So I mean, we're kind of screwed both ways. But at least unfortunately, you're combat wounded veteran. But because of that, yeah, you should get priority service on a lot of these things. What what was the deal with you as a child? What was that crippling bone disease called again that you had?
osteomyelitis. Osteo
Yeah.
Osteomyelitis was a bacterial infection in the bone. It's a bone disease. I had a bone disease. I bumped my knee like all children do when they're 8 or 9 years old, but this particular bump was not necessarily that painful. It just triggered some sort of infection that was already in the bone to to go and dissolve the bone. My knee blew up a few different times. It dissolved when I was 8 and 9 years old. They had to inject these antibiotics into the knee to get rid of the bone disease. My knee grew back. It grew back. My left knee is bigger than my right knee, uh, uh, because of the growth of the bone, because it grew back and it grew back bigger. And I like to say that my left knee is 9 years younger than myself because that damn thing it had grown up and it's like it dissolved, it completely dissolved. It was a ball of pus. I was walking around on crutches. Sports was out of the question. Again, sports was out of the which and so, you know, yeah, and when I look back, I think the pain of being young at that age with that painful disease probably built up some resilience in me a little bit younger. Once you hit somebody that is young, once you get knocked down a few times, you kind of feel, more. I don't know. Maybe the resiliency grew with me. That would be the advantage that I'm thinking about. That would be plus knowing that I'm failing the first grade. So I failed the first grade. I know I'm a dumbass. Okay, cool, cool. I mean, I accept that. Okay, well, I have this disease. Now I'm a dummy and I don't have a fucking left leg and shit. So, okay, I'll go work at McDonald's. I'm cool with that. I'm cool. As long as I can do something, make some money. So that resiliency probably early on, it probably more than my peers. My peers would get disappointed with things that I thought were trivial. But it's all perspective of your trauma. It's all perspective of what you went through in life. If you hit bottom earlier, you probably got that built up of a knot that will help you maybe later on in life that you don't really understand. Later.
No, I mean, you do get some intestinal fortitude if you go through shit when you're younger, because I think that's the challenge with a lot of the kids nowadays. We're looking at these 18 to 30-year-olds who haven't gone through shit in their whole life, and they're just a bunch of pussies, and you're like, "Dude, seriously? You can't break down because you didn't get enough sprinkles on your matcha latte, all right? Just cut that shit out." It's like, sometimes
Yeah.
you have to go through that tribulations, right? But, so back to your service, how many presidents did you serve under?
You had Reagan, and then after Reagan, you had Bush number one. After Bush number one, and then you had Clinton, uh, and then you had Obama. Then you had
Oh,
Biden.
yeah, Bush number 2, don't forget W. Don't
Yeah,
forget
W2.
Cheney.
Yeah,
Yeah, your ass got sent overseas because of W.
yeah, W 9/11. Yeah, so and then, O Obama was the last one that I had. I wasn't under Trump, so I was under Obama. So I've been through many presidencies, and, I've seen the cycles. I've seen the cycles, not only promotions, so military, well, I vote Republican really because of the money, and because when and also the promotion, because I see what man, if I'm in the military and I have a Republican president, well, there's some more money, more promotions and more opportunity for schools than once a Democrat. Oh shit. Democrats, oh shit. My money is going down or my benefits are there's not many, like, everything's scarce. Then once that I can see those cycles. Um man, doesn't take a rocket scientist for me as a military person to figure out who I want to vote for. so yeah, but we can't say anything on active duty. Commander
No.
is the commander in the chief. We follow instructions of the commander in chief. So, but yeah, yeah. So I had seen those cycles and how they, wow, okay, this is kind of interesting. Everybody loves military, Democrats and Republicans, but eh, the money, when you put the money where the mouth is, it usually is from the Republicans. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I asked my son because he is not a political man. He's become one, but when he was not political, even though his father's very political. But so when he got in the service, he's like, "No, sir, Dad, there's no, you know, what we're military, it's commander in chief, yada yada." So now that he's served under 3 different presidents, I say, "You notice anything?" He goes, "Oh, heck yeah, there is a major difference." I'm not going to say what, who, where, and when because he's still in the service. I don't want him in any trouble, but yeah, there is a big difference, and you served under a lot of presidents, so you could see that better than most. And also, there's a lot of weird shit. You started during the Cold War with Reagan, right? I mean, when we were gonna tear down that wall, and all the way through to where terrorism starts really getting crazy. I mean, you've been through a lot of different cycles and shit in 31 years.
Yeah. I've been through a lot of cycles. I can see sort of the system of how things come and go. Yeah. So it gives you a lot of insight to what's going on a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So so when you are a lieutenant colonel, you kinda, whether you want to or not, you kinda have to deal with people. You kinda have to be in a work environment. You kinda gotta tell people what to do and stuff. So you come along and you go, "Well, I got this shit figured out, so I'm gonna write a 3rd book." And it's called Leading Through the Crossfire: A Veteran's Blueprint for Navigating Toxic Work Environments. Now, leading through the crossfire, where the hell did that come from? From Mr. Lieutenant Colonel. What the
my
heck?
my worst really, I mean, my worst experience in the military, was about people, and it was about
That's everybody's worst experience in life is fucking people.
yeah, I mean, I dealt with the bombs and the bullets, but as far as the politics and the way people can work against you and throw you under the bus and ghostlight you, that was something I had never experienced, and I was a lieutenant colonel at the time. I had been serving for a long time, and I've seen a lot of things, but I had sort of seen it with other people, but not with me. And when it came close to me, when I was being thrown under the bus through false and federal investigations, I think, oh my God, this was like it was, bam! Here I am down at the bottom again. False investigations of spying against the guy. You know what? What I'm saying is like there's a move. Well, there's a the Mean Girls Club, or you have a clique of people who don't like you. They want to just throw. It happens in hierarchical organizations. You can probably see it on the television. If you go against the grain just a little bit, or even if it's perceived to be a little bit, you can be hosed. And you may have not done anything really that wrong, but it could be publicized or it could be put out there that you've done a whole lot of bad things. And I saw toxic leadership in the military as a senior person, and it went to me 2007 to 2009, South Korea. First of all, it was subversion and espionage against the US government. When that doesn't work, what I'm saying is they changed the tactics. So if something doesn't work, well, first of all, it was pedophilia. That didn't happen. Then it was serious, more serious and more formal was subversion and espionage. So I went from a pedophile to a spy within about a year and a half. So we enjoyed Korea, South Korea, but the people that we were working with, the problem was I would be a drug dealer. There would be something different that would change the drama that was occurring. So if an organization doesn't like you, or they want you out, or you've confronted them differently, that and maybe you didn't understand how you confronted them, or you maybe have said something wrong, they can do things to you through accusations and rumor and things of that nature to try to screw with you or the organization to come down because you're a senior person. How are they going to get rid of you? You got to think. And you're in the government or you're in a higher police organization or in the CEO. Let's just say you're high, not low. Because if you're low, they can just. But if you're high, how do they instrument the technique to get rid of you? And so I never had seen that part of the military or the government, and they can do those things. They can do things. They can switch things to screw with you or the organization to get rid of you or to have you leave or quit. Yeah.
Well, we know for sure if you are a civilian and they want to fuck with you, they find child pornography on your laptop all of a sudden. They just do. It's like a miracle. It's like, yeah, we found child pornography on his laptop. He's a pedophile. It's like, wait, what? Wait, how'd you get him a laptop? And first of all, no, I no, that's not me. Second of all, but if you're in the military, then they got Plan B, which is you're a traitor, you're a spy. You got this right.
You can it all. It could be sexual. It could be racism. It could be throwing some drugs in your
Racism's good. Racism big right now. We should go to
racism is a
racism.
big
That's
deal.
big.
You're racist or you've done something. Um,
Anti-trans. You're anti-trans. That's what you are. Damn it, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I didn't understand these games. I didn't understand the way things worked I'm thinking, and that was the hardest thing to really. That was really the most difficult part of my entire life was, yeah, as a senior person to go and see these things. You would think, I felt guilty that I did something wrong. I felt ashamed, but I know I didn't do anything. But you had these various feelings of like what in the world happened? How did everything just go totally yes, I understand I don't get along with these people. But I don't understand how the world has totally changed negative in my way. And so I had a good instinct that this was going to happen before it even happened. I had a feeling, strong feeling that I was in a world of shit like 7 months before it happened. And it was true. I mean, I never had such a chest feeling that when I walked into the office and I just knew I could feel something. There's something different about this assignment, but I didn't understand it until 7 to 8 months later. But I felt it within 2 weeks just by walking in and looking around. And that was that animal instinct it could be the way people talked, how people breathed, how people interacted, but I could feel that early. And I told my wife, "Oh shit, something's gonna happen." Oh, and she's like, "You're crazy as hell. You're crazy." Yeah, I am crazy, but but the thing is, no, there really is, and I just can't explain it. But you got the animal, like the animal, I was like, and it did, and it happened not only once but multiple times throughout a period of a year and a half. but it was the delayed like, I knew it was gonna happen. But and I even kept or, like, since I knew it was gonna happen, I tried to keep I was really orderly. I was really nice guy. I was really trying to do the best I could do, because I knew it was gonna happen. But I said, "I've got to really be in line with a lot of things." And I tried to. I tried to, and I did. I felt I did as best as I could. I couldn't do it all the time, but it did happen. It happened, but I knew and once it happened, it was like, "Fi I'm right. I'm right." Now it's now I'm right. Now I know I'm right. And, it was like a relief because that anticipation was like, "Oh god, I know what's gonna happen." And then once it happened, it was like, "Okay, cool. Now I've gotta deal with this." And now I knew my gut was right. But I knew it all along that something was and that was the only time in my entire career where I had that feeling of something was gonna happen. It was about toxic leadership. Um, and what happened and what followed on that happened. Yeah. I can't it's really difficult to explain. Yeah.
What's your trust level of the government right now?
Not at all. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust them at all.
So you're like a sane American then. So you've become a sane American because there's a lot of insane, whatever the word is, insane Americans who actually have this deep trust in the government that, oh, they'd never fuck with us. Oh, really? You remember the COVID? Um, so so you hammered out 3 books in a really short period of time.
Oh, well,
And they're 3 really different books, right? I mean, the first one's a story about you. The second one's kinda helping people out about this, a benefits guide, but then the third one is
yeah. The
let
sto
me tell you about how you could get fucked if you're not keeping your eyes open, or you had your eyes open, you felt something was coming, but you still got bent over.
Yeah, and so this one is not only my story, but it's a lot of veteran stories that it's a lot of other veteran stories and how to deal with toxic leadership. It could be toxic relationships too. It could be the same thing, but it's toxic situations that you're in. I knew a lot of other veterans that came forward, so all I had to do was get their stories. It's my story combined with their stories. And without reading this book is get the hell out of Dodge. I mean, what I'm saying, like, so if you're in that situation, get the hell out any way you can. But don't, I mean, really, there's other ways you can deal with it, but it'll give you an understanding of other ideas that you could possibly do. Yeah. So I have a lot of other veterans that have come forward and showed their stories, and with my story, kind of showing that you're not alone. And here are other techniques, other things that have happened with other people. When you fight the system, it's difficult to fight the system. It really is. These people are narcissists. These people will screw with you. They will kill you. And it may
Oh,
not
yeah.
be now, it might be later. And so they will follow your ass if you're in that organization. And so got to be careful with these people that are toxic. These people are no joke. Right, they're no joke.
No, man, we are basically just disposable wipes is what we are, and they wipe your ass and then toss you down and move on to the next victim that they can take advantage of and destroy. It's a one big clusterfuck out there, and, it's scary because there's no I mean, we can go on and on for that one about Eric because it's scary about the the amount of evidence and proof and victims and people who have been hurt, and it just keeps going on because who can step up and stop it? No one can step up. This machine is just too fucking big. It's just insane. I mean, I'm really good friends with Sean Ryan. I'm gonna call Sean Ryan. You gotta be on his podcast. You guys but he loves shit like this. So you listen to Sean Ryan?
I've heard of him a few times. As he's
You gotta listen and reach out to Sean Ryan. Listen to his show. And the only difference is I only have about 8 million people who listen to me. He has about 10 million people who listen to him. So you get your message out on Sean. And he is a former SEAL and he's deep in the shit. He believes 1,000,000%. And he's talking a lot about what you're just talking about in that book. Um, man, it's a wicked, wicked jungle in there.
please do. Please reach out to, I mean, I'm just a little neon person, and if you've got some influence, please help me out with that because I don't have any I'm working on my 4th book, which is gonna be about white poverty in the South, but that'll be published in about another 3 or 4 months, but, really, I'm getting to the point I've gotten to done a lot of podcasts, and so I'm looking at taking a break for a while, but,
Well, definitely take a break, but have someone email the shit out of Sean Ryan because he needs to get a hold of you. You talk about emailing the shit out of somebody. He needs to talk to you and get your story out there. But you misspoke a minute ago. You meant white privilege, right?
white white poverty.
No, 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 no. There's no such thing. You meant white privilege. You just can't,
White trash,
you
white
can't
trash,
go there.
rednecks, leadheads, and white trash. So basically, so it's like born from nothing from white, and I'm coming from a different angle, not quite white or not quite right. So it's coming from a trailer trash point of view that a lot of people have not really understood that do exist, especially well, everywhere. But we're really focused on the southern South, the Southland, and we're coming across it that way. And I've got a co-author with me as well. This is my first co-author I got from South Carolina, and so we're working that. That'll be 3 or 4 months from now. But yeah, we it's all done. We just got to go through the procedures to publish it, and so I'm sort of trashed out from all the white trash yet.
Well, I love that because I'll tell you what, my family's from Spain. We got in this country in like 1509, so I've been here a long freaking time. But my wife, her family's Scottish and Irish, so they're drunks. And they, when you look at what's happening in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, you look at what's happening in a lot of the states up there. Um, you know, all those immigrants who came in who were poor and worked their frickin' ass off, the Germans and the Scottish and the Irish, there wasn't a lot of like white privilege going on up there. These people, they 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 worked their ass off, and now they're all getting kicked out. I mean, all the Polish they're all getting kicked out of there. So I'm looking forward to that fourth book because I think there's a lot there, and I think that's a story that should be told. And this is not about racism. I mean, shit, there's all sorts of stuff like that. But I mean, it's just a fact that I think that's a story that needs to be told. I'm glad you're writing it.
Yeah, I mean, white trash was a term from the blacks, and it was so the blacks. Wait, we go through history here, but the blacks or the niggas, whatever they were, you want to talk about they were slaves, but the white trash were lower than the homies. They were lower than them. Because the slaves had a job and they had food. They were on the plantation. Yes, they were slaves, but the white trash were out there in the weeds, and but they were not racist because they were sort of equal in many ways. They were, you could say, up or down. They were sort of equal. They were kind of cool with each other. And the blacks, that's why the blacks gave them the name white trash, because they were sort of kind of on that same level. And then once the blacks get into society and was able to do some things, the white trash were hanging out down here. They're not coming up. They're not working up. And so you had that white trash that stayed down a little bit. So we talk about that history and about how that happened. But sometimes the white trash, they were called dirt eaters. Dirt eaters are somebody who eat dirt. They need the iron. And you've seen the movie Deliverance. Squeal like a pig. That's not too far from where I came from. And Deliverance with Burt Reynolds, and that's a famous movie. And so these people were, in many ways, you could say they may have genetic problems, they may have nutritional problems, but they were definitely at a lower level because it could be inbreeding. A lot of people say inbreeding, a lot of people say nutrient deficiency, but they were maybe lower than the blacks on many scales from an earlier point. And then definitely once the blacks had their rights, a lot of them stayed down there in that level, and blacks sort of moved up, and a lot of the white trash stayed white trash. But we go into all of that. Yeah, we're going to all that.
That's it's gonna be a fantastic book. There's one thing for sure, they sure as shit didn't have many teeth. That's for damn sure. They got no teethers, and they only need a teeth brush, not a toothbrush, or toothbrush, not teeth. Well, this has been great. You are a shitload of fun. I love you. I can't keep track of you. I'm glad that camera moves. Otherwise, I'd lose you all the time. Like your camera moves. It's bizarre. Moves
Moving,
with you.
camera staying the same, but I move my emotions. So
Yeah, I love it. I just wanna read one last thing, and I'm gonna let you go because you said I could have an hour, sir, and I don't wanna disrespect you, so, um, I just liked this that I found on you, and it said, "Like the phoenix of Greek mythology, Jason Pike has risen from the ashes, stronger and more determined each time, turning every challenge into a story of survival and triumph. His books are a testament to grit, perseverance, and the power of refusing to quit. They offer hope and inspiration to anyone confronting life's challenges from a place of disadvantage." And it meant something to me because I think today our country is just raising so many wussies, and people are so offended by every damn thing in the world, and everybody's all so up in arms about the outrage of the weak. Yet so many people have never even been through any disadvantages. They've never struggled. They've never fought. They don't know what it's like to be white trash. They don't know what it's like to be maybe raised as a slave or not have your freedoms or things like this. So I think it's powerful stuff that you're doing. Three great books. Can't wait to the fourth one. But I'd be remiss if I let you go without my last question. I lied earlier because I'm like the government. I lied earlier. I said I only had one question, but I actually have two questions. I gave you the first one, no, I didn't give you the second. So the last question, sir, before we go, is if you had one message for us, a thought, a feeling, something that meant something very deeply to Mr. Jason Pike, um, what would that last thought be that you'd like to leave us with?
Whatever doubts that you have are your own doubts. Go ahead and give it a try. Even if you fail, give it a try because with failure, there becomes knowledge of how to do it again. In other words, how to go back again and do it a different time and just to never give up on what you want to do. And, you might do podcasts or whatever it might be, just give it a try because once you give it a try, you've tried it, and let's just say you've failed it. Maybe you failed it multiple times, but at least at the end of your life, you say, I gave it the best try. I give it the best go I could at that time. And I'm not regretting it. I'm not regretting that I didn't try it. So because I didn't want to write the damn book but I was scared. But now I don't regret it. But I think, so I just say give it a try. Watch out for your doubts. Fear false evidence appearing real. In other words, it may not be real. It's only real within you, but go out there and give it a try. Yeah. You know.
I love that. I love that because, hey, man, life is short. Life is very, very short. And I read something today and I reposted it. It said, today is the last time you will ever be this age. It's the last time you'll ever be this young. So what are you waiting for? Right? Get out there and do this shit, man. I mean, just do your stuff. This has been great. Honestly, this has been so much fun. Guys, we've just had the pleasure to chat with Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike, sort of 31 years the service of our country in the United States Army. He's the author of three books so far. He's got the book out there. Show us your books one more time.
I got the first one is the big one. The popular one is A Soldier Against All Odds. You can go to Amazon or you can go to jasonpike.org or Amazon. There's only two Jason Pikes. And then you got second book I have is The Veterans Benefits Process. It's out of the uniform back into civilian life. It's how to get your veterans benefits and your transition out of the military. This is about money, getting money. And then you got this here. This is how to deal with a wicked workplace. That's what to do if you're in a toxic, work environment, and come from my perspective and a lot of other people's perspective. So those are the three ones. I'm working on a fourth one. It's going to be about white trash and shit, but that'll be about 3 or 4 months later. So.
Sir, I am proud to be white trash, so just take that shit and be careful with that stuff. So, Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike, this has been a blast. This has been super fun, man. I'm grateful for this. So, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon. See ya.